Which car is better with a 300 horsepower V6? RX-8 or Miata? Let's find out. Okay, we are here at the Florida International Rally Motorsport Park today, the official test track of Grassroots Motorsports, and we're going to play with some Miatas, or at least one NC MX-5 and a Mazda RX-8, which is kind of sort of the same thing underneath with a longer wheelbase. And these aren't any Mazdas. These have V8 Roadsters LFX swap kits in them, so they're both powered by Chevy V6s. It's about a 300 horsepower V6. It bolts right in, more or less. The cool thing about these cars is they both have fairly weak drivetrains from the factory. NC Miatas have an issue with a coolant tank that tends to mean you can find them with blown head gaskets fairly easily, whereas RX-8s are rotary powered, and I don't really need to say any more there. So, simple formula, take a Mazda with a blown engine, put an LFX V6 into it, take it on track. The other cool difference here is this car has a Chevy automatic in it. It's got a 6L50E, whereas this one has a Chevy manual transmission. It's got an MV5 out of a Camaro or a Cadillac CTS, that sort of thing.
I was really excited to come to the firm and drive these cars because we're actually in the middle of putting an LFX V6 into our own Miata with the V8 Roadster swap kit. Our 1.8 early Miata Lemons car is going to be, a real endurance racing car now, and we're putting a V8 Roadster swap kit in it with an LFX. So I was super excited to get behind the wheel and really experience this drivetrain.
So a couple of questions here: Miata or RX-8? Automatic or manual transmission? Which one's better with a 300 horsepower V6? We're going to find out today.
So driving the Miata was a blast. It's just a fantastic car, tons and tons of power. I mean, I've driven V8 Miatas, driven other V6 swap Miatas, and I would say the LFX is just the perfect drivetrain for this car. It still has that kind of Miata feel, if you will. It's not a big torquey monster. It likes to rev. I was shifting at 7,300 RPM, I think, or 7,000, something like that. But the LFX swap Miata is just a fantastic toy to take on track. This one in particular was real tail happy. V8R's owner, Shondell, said that he really liked a tail happy car, and I could feel it. It was nervous under braking and real quick to change direction. Some of that was tire pressure. They later told me that I'd been running it with 45 pounds of air in the tire, and I took it out again a little later, and that definitely helped. But just a real playful, lively chassis, tons and tons of fun. Cannot believe I did not spin that car. It definitely wanted to, and especially going into braking into the last corner on track, it was real lively. The transmission was great. It's not a Miata, you can tell. It doesn't shift like an NC, but it's not far off. That GM MV5 transmission still shifts remarkably well. The gear ratios were perfect. I ended up only using 2 or 3 gears on the whole track and barely had to shift. But it was a ton of fun. My only regret is that I only had a few laps in it. I can't wait to get our V6 swap Miata done and take it out here and play.
I'm going to go ahead and hop in the RX-8 next, see what the same engine with an automatic transmission does in a slightly different chassis. Should be fun.
Driving the RX-8 really felt like driving a bigger car, almost like a BMW 3 Series or something like that. It was interesting that the difference in wheelbase length and weight isn't that drastic in the grand scheme of things. It was definitely noticeable here. And part of this also has to do with car setup. The RX-8 was set up for a relative novice to track duty, so it was a much more composed car. Setting a car up looser is faster in most cases. It definitely, when you only have a few laps to get comfortable in something, it can make it a little tough to get up to speed. So the RX-8 was great in the chassis department, never had an issue at all, felt composed and confident the entire time. But I do have issues with the RX-8 transmission. It's got a 6L50E in it, which is a GM automatic transmission, similar to what you'd find in a Camaro or something like that. And I just could never find my groove with it on track. In theory, it sounds like a great idea. Have torque multiplication, have quick shifts, have pedal shifters. I could never really know when or how it was going to shift and anticipate that when I was driving the car. So that was definitely an issue. Now, how much of that is learning curve and how much of that is an inherent weakness in the car? I would say most of it's learning curve. The owner says he does track days all the time and greatly enjoys the automatic, but especially jumping back and forth between the RX-8 and the MX-5, I really prefer the manual transmission. Overall though, RX-8 was a ton of fun. I'd definitely pick the RX-8 chassis for an LFX swap, but I'm not sure I'd pick the automatic transmission to go along with it.
Okay, we spent all day at the track, we've driven both cars, we've gotten times on each. Which one would we pick? At the end of the day, I would say RX-8 with the GM manual transmission out of the Miata. I think that's the perfect combination. The Miata is super fast, it's sorted really, really well. The V8R guys really knew what they were doing there. But at the end of the day, it's just a small, light car to have this much power and to be, really just easy to drive on track. So I'd pick the RX-8, the longer wheelbase, a little more weight, and I would put a stick in it. The automatic was good, it has nice, crisp, fast shifts, it has paddle shifters, but I just could not get comfortable with it. And I feel like I needed more time to really get a feel for it and know exactly what it was going to do and to be able to, anticipate that lag and shifts. So at the end of the day, I'd pick an RX-8 with a stick and an LFX, and of course a V8R swap kit. Cool thing is you don't really have to pick because they make kits for everything. You can put pretty much any combination together, any kind of Miata, RX-8. Definitely LFX is the way to go. A V8 is cool too, but this is plenty of power and it still has those awesome Miata driving characteristics. So blow the engine in your Mazda, put an LFX in, have fun on track. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe to our page and we'll see you out on track.
Support brands that support Grassroots Motorsports. Get your chemical solutions from CRC Industries. Visit crcindustries.com to learn more.